Let's go ahead and get started. So my name is Chris Tilley. I am the instructional technologist for the School of Business, and I'm going to be talking to you guys today about the discussion feature in OAKS. Now, the discussion feature is something that is really primarily used in online learning. If you're teaching a hybrid course or a face-to-face course, you're probably not going to use it because you're going to be utilizing your class time for discussions. But here we are in a situation where we are teaching online, and the discussion tool is a good way to keep your students engaged with the content, engaged with the reading and the materials, and also engaged with each other. So having said that, let's go ahead and dive right in. Actually, before I get started, I want to say I kind of teach this in 3 sections. What I like to do is present a section and then pause and give some time for questions and then move on to the next one and so forth. So I hope that works out. But if you guys have a burning desire to ask something, you know, feel free to holler at me, jump right on in. So the first thing, and I think this is the most important thing about the discussions tools, is understanding the hierarchy of it, because at first glance, if you're not really familiar with the tool, it can seem kind of confusing. So I've got this little slide here. It's really basic, but it shows you the hierarchy of the discussion components, for lack of a better word. What you're going to do is you're going to create a forum. And in every class I've ever taught or every online class I've ever been in, there's never been a need for more than one forum, because forums are such a large umbrella for topics that you know, it kind of end up being more work for the faculty and for the students to try to navigate through forums. So I like to advise people just to create a forum for whatever your class is and kind of leave it at that, and then go into more depth in the topic. The topic is where you might say, this is going to be your weekly reading topic. This is the discussion that's going to talk about that, or this is going to be something with your projects if you're doing projects. So that would be a good topic level. The next thing down is the thread. Threads are within the topic. And the topic and the thread level are where you, the instructor, are going to be the most engaged. The threads are what the students are going to read and then reply to. So the students are going to be mostly engaged at the thread and reply level. Now, that's not to say that you can't reply and they can add threads. But that just kind of gives you a little snapshot of how the discussion hierarchy works. So as you can see here, I've kind of just created a very basic, admittedly non-creative forum and topic for a hypothetical course with a thread. And in that thread, we have some replies. So what I'm going to do today, or what I'm going to do right now, is we're actually going to walk through the creation of a forum, a topic, a thread, and a reply. And as far as you're in, you can either kind of watch, take notes, and just sort of absorb it, or if you want to open up OAKS and follow along, you're welcome to do that as well. If anyone wants to do that, I'll give you guys a second to open up OAKS. But yeah, what we're going to do is I'm going to, on a very, very simple, basic level, just walk you through the creation of the forum, give you, maybe an idea of something that you might want to put in there. We'll talk about some topics. We'll put a topic in, and then we will create a thread and then a reply. And then that way you'll kind of see both from your end and also get an idea from the student end what they're going to be seeing and how they're going to be interacting with the discussion. So let's go ahead and get started. What I'm going to do is I'm going to come up. Oh, let me tell you what. Let me actually start from the very beginning. So here's my course. The discussions are under the communication pull-down menu. So I'll go to communication, come down to discussions and click on that. And here's my discussion list. So if you don't have any discussions, this area will be blank. And I'm going to click on the blue new button. And in that pull-down menu, I'm going to select new forum. So the new forum, it's the big umbrella. It's very basic. The first one was Forum A, so I'm just going to call this one Forum B. And here is where you don't have to put a description if you don't want to. It's not necessary. Some people just prefer to put things at the topic level. But if you want to put something sort of overall about all of your discussions, like for example, maybe you want to say, please keep posts respectful and you know, professional, something along those lines. Just kind of let them know that you expect there to be some decorum in the discussion areas. This is a good place to put that. Anything that would apply to all of your topics and threads. Down here we have a couple of options that I like to leave unchecked, and they're unchecked by default. I'm not a big fan of anonymous posts, but if you see a value in having anonymous posts, you can check on that. The other one that I like to discuss is the moderator must approve individual posts before they display in the forum. I hope that you're not in a class where this will be something that you need to check on. I like to give my students the benefit of the doubt. This would be in a situation maybe where you think that you've got some students who might be a problem. But generally speaking, I like to leave this off because if you have a big class, then you're going to get bombarded by emails whenever somebody posts something. So I kind of like to leave that one off. And if, God forbid, somebody does post something that is inappropriate, then I have the option of deleting that and then, you know, talking to that student on an individual basis and try to sort that out. So at this point, when you've created all of your forum items, you could go to save and add topic. I'm going to save and close just so that we go back to the discussion list because I kind of want to see how things go from that point. So now as you see, I've got Forum B down here at the bottom, and there's a little pull down menu. Now I could go up to new and create a new topic from here. I kind of prefer the pull down menu myself, but you're welcome to do whichever you like. And I'm going to go to add topic. All right. So the new topic is going to be in Forum B, the one that we created. And I'm just going to put new topic because this class isn't really about anything. This is sort of like a Seinfeld class. You don't really have to put a description in this one anyway. If you wanted to say, you know, that this topic is going to be weekly readings, then that would probably be fairly self-explanatory. But if you wanted to go a little bit deeper and say this topic is where we will discuss our reading material, you can do that. If you have anything more in-depth that you want to put in there, the description is fine for that. But of course, as I said before, it is not required. So I'm going to go down to save and close so that we go back to our main discussions page. Again, you don't have to do this. I'm just going back because I kind of want you guys to see how this is building up from the discussion list, because this is what the students are going to be seeing once you've set all of your discussions up. So we now have our weekly readings. And when I click on that, I have a new thread, or I can start a new thread, I should say. Now, this is where the students are going to start interacting. Up to this point, you've been doing all of the heavy lifting. You've been doing the work. You're creating a structure for the discussions by creating the forum and the topic. Now you're going to create a thread. And this is the thread where, let's say we want them to discuss chapter 5. Now, in this point, you have to put something in the text box. You have to say, you know, discuss the author's opinion on XYZ. So this is where you'll put in something that's a call to action. You want them to reply to this. You want them to read this chapter and discuss what they've done, especially if it's something specific, like, you know, under the heading, yada, 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 what do you think about that? Or how do you think you would approach this? That's a good thing to put in this area. And so we will post it. All right, so I'm going to go back to the discussions list again. Again, I'm just really doing this to go back and let you see kind of what the student would see. So the student goes into Forum B. I'm supposed to keep things respectful and professional. Check. Weekly readings. Okay, this is where our reading material is. Click on that. Oh, look, chapter 5. So I'm going to click on chapter 5. And this is where the students are going to reply to the thread. So if I'm the student, then this is where I put in my feedback. This is where I say what I thought about chapter 5. And I thought I could spell. Way off base. And then that's where you would post it. So that is just a very quick description of the creation of a forum, the subsequent topic, a thread within the topic, and a reply to the thread. And like I said, you will mostly be working at the topic and thread level, although you will be reading, well, you will be observing replies, but you don't necessarily have to reply if you don't want to. You can always just sort of say, okay, I like what my students wrote here. If you see something that looks inappropriate, you can talk to them on an individual basis. But this, in a perfect world where everything is going great, this is where you're doing your work. And this is where the students are doing their work. So I'll take a moment now and just open it up for any questions. Has anybody got any comments, questions, anything so far?
Nope.
All good?
One quick question.
Sure.
So just to be sure I understand, if the topic is your discussion of the course's readings, then the threads, each thread could be week 5 readings, then the next one, week 6 reading. Cool, thank you.
Yes, absolutely. I just kind of pulled chapter 5 randomly, but if you wanted it to be week 6, you know, what did you think of the lecture? That's certainly something you can do as well. It's, you know, at this is sort of the level where it kind of is up to you, the instructor, and how you like to structure your course. So I find that some people are more book focused, whereas, you know, I'm going to talk about chapter this, chapter that. A lot of professors go by the week. It's entirely up to you, and you don't even really need to do it like this. You can do it by anything, you know, whatever you want that thread to be, whatever you want your students to be discussing at that time, that can be a thread. If it's, you know, current events, for example, right now, you would definitely want to do a coronavirus thread, but, you know, maybe 2 weeks ago, you might have, I don't know, whatever was happening 2 weeks ago. I've kind of forgotten because of all of the coronavirus stuff. But yeah, you're welcome to do it any way you like, but that is a good question.
Got it. Thank you.
Okay. Any other questions about that? All right. I am going to take silence as a no and move on. So let me ask you guys this. In your courses or in your classes before everyone went completely online, did any of you break your students up into groups to either maybe discuss something, present something, or work on any kind of project? Did anyone have
Yes.
that sort of set up in their class?
Yes.
Okay, got
No.
one.
No.
Okay.
Yeah, no.
Well, that's all right. This is, I'm going to show you guys how you can create groups and
Okay.
use the discussion tool with groups so that, you know, if you've already got a group set up in your class, then you can maintain that group environment and let them be able to sort of discuss amongst themselves, whether it be a project, a presentation, whatever it may be, but they can keep that group dynamic going. So what you'll do is first, you're going to create the group. And to do that, you'll go up to the management tab of your OAKS course. And you will scroll down to the last thing here where it says groups. And you'll click on that. So as you can see, I've already created a new category. If you created a new category, it's basically just going to ask you to name it. And that's about it. So I'm not going to do that over again because I've got my course groups here, but I am going to create another group. So within that category, I'm going to add a group, and I'll leave it at group 4 for now, and I'll save it. So now I have 4 groups. I'm going to go down to my new group, click on that to go to the edit. And this is where I'll be able to enroll users. So when I click on this, it isn't going to give me a lot of options because this is a development course. I don't have actual students, but when you click on it, your entire class list, your whole roster will be here. And so you can select from this list who's going to be in group 1, 2, 3, 4, so on and so forth. All you have to do is just check on it. And then, you know, this is group 4. I'm going to select my TLT student and click save. And as you can see now, group 4 has that 1 member. So like I said, it looks a little bit different for me because I don't have students, but once you get in and you see it, it'll make sense. All right. So let's go back to our discussions. And again, to do that, we go to communication, go to discussions. And let's go back under the forum. And now let's create some group topics. I'm going to add a new topic because this isn't going to be about our weekly readings or about our chapters anymore. This is something that I want to be strictly for the groups. So under topic type here, instead of an open topic where everyone can access it, I'm going to select group topic. And my category was called course groups. If you have more categories, they'll all show up, but I only have the 1 course group, so that's all I've got. And I'm just going to call this group discussions. Or if you have something really specific the groups are doing, maybe group projects. I'm not necessarily going to add a description here. I don't need one. I'm going to go a little bit more in depth at a lower level. So I'm going to save and close. So now when you come over to Forum B, you'll see that group projects has been created, and now you've got this little group icon here, which indicates that this is for groups. So I'm going to go over here and I'm going to, actually, let me click on that. I'm going to start a new thread. And now it gives me the option to select one of the groups. So I just created group 4. I'm going to give them something to talk about. All right, this is group 4's discussion page. This is where group 4 can talk about their upcoming presentation. And so now I'm going to save this, and only you and members of group 4 will have access to this page. So groups 1, 2, and 3 will not be able to get onto this page. This will just be between you and group 4. And so that way, like I say, they can maintain that group dynamic that they had before we entered Armageddon. All right, let me go back to the discussion list. Does anyone have any questions or comments now at this point?
Nope.
No, all good.
No.
Okay, great, moving right along. This is an easy one, thanks guys. So the last one is really kind of the shortest one. This is really sort of an administrative portion. This is where we talk a little bit about accountability of the students. So let's go into our weekly readings. Oh, sorry. I meant to click on the edit topic. So let's go over here to edit topic. So you'll see we've got a couple of tabs up here, and this might look similar if you've used the assignment Dropbox feature in OAKS before. You can add restrictions such as availability. Had somebody in a previous workshop ask about this. It was the first time that anybody had asked, but if you want to lock or unlock a topic, you can do that. But here's the one I thought was really kind of interesting. Unlock topic for a specific date range. That means that if you want to have a discussion open for a certain period of time and then lock it down so that no one can add anything to it, but they can still see what's been added in that unlocked period, they can do that. So I thought that was kind of interesting. But if you think that you just want to have sort of a very general start-stop date, you can do that as well. Or if you want to do it manually, you can hide from users until you think they're ready to comment on that particular topic. And remember, this is at the topic level, not at the thread level. So if you have anything that you think is going to be time sensitive, I would suggest you do it at the topic level, not at the thread level. Another thing you can do is you can create an assessment component, which basically means that you can add it to your grade book and you can grade them on it if you like. I had already created a discussions category and a discussions post, but of course, if you have not done that yet and you want to, you can just go over here to your new grade item and create one that way. And here, of course, is where you can do your score. And if you want to really get into the nitty-gritty of the posts, you can do this, but I kind of prefer not to because it's a lot of work, and I can still add feedback when I grade it if I want to, and I'll show you that in just a second. But you do have that option if you want to. So I'm going to save and close. And now you'll see under the weekly readings that we have this icon that says that I am going to include an assessment. So let's assess the topic. You'll have, since this is an open discussion topic, both of my students are able to see it. And I can go to topic score for, let's say, TLT student. Now, I didn't write anything, but this is where it would be if I had. And I can come up here to the top right of that new window, and I can give them whatever I think their score ought to be. And if I want to give them some feedback, I can. And I can publish that right there. Now, if I don't necessarily want to go to the trouble of grading it, or if I don't think that the discussions merit a grade, then I can keep track of the students without actually grading them by going to View Topic Statistics. When I go to View Topic Statistics, here I can see the number of replies and threads and so forth of each of my students. So if I've had, let's say, 5 topics, or excuse me, 5 threads, and I expect them to reply once to each one, then I would hope to see 4 or 5 in this column here. And they've probably done the work. I'm okay with looking at it like this. If they have only 1 or 2, then maybe I want to look a little bit deeper. And if I want to do that, I can come up to communication, and I can go to my class list. And from here, I can go to this pull-down menu next to my student's name, and I can view their progress. And you'll see here, there's a list here on the left, and discussions is one of the items there. And here I can really look and see what they've done. Now, again, I don't have anything to show because I haven't written anything, but this is where it would be if I had. So if I see that they've actually written something, you know, that adds to the discussion, then I'm okay with that. If it looks like they just wrote, you know, an ellipsis, then we'll need to talk about that. But again, if I don't really want to make this something that's graded, if I just want to see that they're engaging, then this is a way that you can do that and make sure that they're still doing the work. All right. Well, that is that's the tool. That is the function and how you can work with the OAKS discussion tool. Does anyone have any questions or comments at this point?
I don't think so.
I don't.
All good.
Okay. Great. Well, that really does the technical aspect of this class. Does anyone have any, maybe let's say, more pedagogical questions? Anything about the application of the discussions feature? Anything that you'd like to talk about? And at this point, it doesn't really need to be a question. If you just kind of want to bounce some ideas off people and think about, you know, some ways that you might want to use this, this would be a good time for that. Does anybody want to chime in there?
I'm good.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, digesting it all.
Right.
Yeah. Okay, great. Well, thank you very much for your time. I appreciate it. I hope this has been beneficial, and you guys stay safe and stay healthy, and look forward to talking to you in the future.
Thank
you,
you.
Chris.
It was
You
really
too.
Thank
good.
you so much.
Thanks
and
a
looking
lot.
forward to seeing you all in person.
That's right.
Yes.
Take care, everybody.
Take care.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Thanks.
Take care, everyone.